to say that they didn't go well. They're generally, leave crying.
Right.
So
definitely.
So I went in there, and these guys actually, they were ready to turn on me once I told them what I was supposed to be teaching.
They'd had enough of it. They didn't know where to go with it.
Yeah, and so what I told them, I said, okay, look, stop. I understand how to resolve an IRQ conflict. I know the difference between an integer and an imaginary number. I know what you're talking about. I understand your language. Look, the reason that you guys got into this is because computers are something that have logic and structure, and once you understood those things, you can understand them. What I want you to understand is that there is a logic and a structure to the way that human beings work as well.
Or they're like, no way!
Well, and the thing is, most of them were incredulous, but they gave me the benefit of the doubt, and go on with this strange moon language that you were about to speak. And essentially, what I had done was I went through and I had researched to try to find, okay, is there something that explains communications in a way that I can really get this across to these guys?
And that's how you found NLP?
And that's how I found NLP, because NLP was interesting to me for two reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, it claimed to diagram the structure of communications. And secondly, it purported to be able to help people to teach at an accelerated rate, which was important because, again, I couldn't shut down the entire IT division.
Right,
I had to do this in a relatively short period of time, short focused trainings.
Yeah.
So I, being on a corporate expense account, I went around and I trained with with everybody, pretty much, and then sort of amalgamated what I had learned, and but I was just thinking, well, look, because I went to these trainings and these guys were doing amazing things, curing phobias in 15 minutes, and some of the amazing high performance things they were doing, and I'm sitting there going,
very exciting stuff.
This is very cool, and I am doing this in order to teach this one application, so I don't have time for the rest of this stuff. I'm just going to learn this stuff as well as I can. To then maybe later I'd love to go back and learn more, but for right now I need to do this.
Yeah.
And essentially, I went in and I turned a 70% dissatisfaction rating to a 75% satisfaction rating within 6 months.
That's awesome.
I mean complete turnaround.
Complete turnaround, and quickly. And that's what NLP is known for, isn't it? Very quick turnaround results.
Well, yeah, because essentially, and especially these guys were, I got to say, a lot of it was due to the fact that these guys were used to thinking in terms of structure and logic, and therefore it made perfect sense to them.
Yeah.
I packaged it in a way that I thought they could understand it.
Yeah.
And the NLP helped me to understand that, helped me to teach them what to teach.
Very good.
But what also happened was within a few days, a couple weeks after the course, I've got these guys coming in talking about how they're meeting girls for the first time.
Oh, isn't that fantastic?
Because they've never
their whole
really
life has changed.
Yeah, because they hadn't been able to talk really very well. They hadn't had any confidence in themselves or any expectation that they'd be able to make themselves understood.
Isn't that incredible? That's incredible.
That was happening. Lives changing in terms of one guy was able to reconcile years of not being able to communicate with his own father.
That's amazing.
And it was pretty startling stuff, because really I think the most important point to take away is that once you start learning how to do these things at a really deep level, once it starts affecting your life in one category, it starts trickling through. And it starts cascading through the other parts of your life. And having learned that, that's one of the things that took me from looking at doing this as just a very narrow application for, essentially for just one or two things that I was thinking about doing with it, to eventually doing something where, I really am interested in helping people to be able to do anything that they do remarkably well. I want you to tell me how to do a fast phobia cure for somebody who has a phobia of seeing themselves. Well, the moment that you take out seeing themselves, then that the whole visual disassociation thing that's in the conventional fast phobia cure doesn't work. How do you do it? Well, the thing is, of course, there are different answers to that question. But what I'm getting at is that essentially there are only a few NLP techniques. What you really have to have in order to be able to work as a change worker or a coach in a very functional way is not just a basic ability to use pre-created NLP techniques. You have to be able to generate responses to structures of human experience, which means you have to be able to properly to elicit the structure, to notice what's there already, and then to structure a response based on what you observe in the moment.
Right.
It's about
thinking on your feet as well.
It's literally about it's about working. It's about creating NLP on the fly.
Yeah.
And you have to be an NLP generator.
That's right.
Rather than a person who practices the simple, repetition formulas. And so, that's the kind of thing that I would recommend that you begin to learn. Now, let me also explain that I do not mean that you can't start, coaching your friends. I don't mean that you shouldn't start trying to do things like the fast phobia cure. You shouldn't start succeeding with things like the fast phobia cure, because those work a lot of the time, much of the time. There are remarkable things that you can do and that you can learn. But just because you've taken a master practice doesn't mean that it's time to hang out a shingle as a therapist.
I like that. And of course, everything is a personal choice. We just want to give you as much information as possible.
Of course. This is my advice. Yeah. I mean, certainly you can do anything. But essentially what I would say is that my heart here and my duty of care here is for the people who are out there. One thing I'll say is this: if you're thinking about doing this and you don't have any further qualification than that, either don't charge people for it, or don't charge them if they don't get the result.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah, because then that way at least.
Because if they haven't got the result, you haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that if I go to a restaurant and they don't serve me, I don't expect to have to pay for the meal.
Right.
So that's and I'll tell you that is now I have I've been doing this for years now, decades.
Yeah, and there's different things we were talking a little bit earlier about change work, and there's actually no encyclopedia for NLP encyclopedia as far as for change work. If this person says that, you do this. It's a series of keep going until the change happens.
Well, it's the tote model. There's exactly. And there's a lot of stuff involved. But what I would also say is this: I have been working in this for many years now, and I work with that guarantee still. I still have a satisfaction guarantee on all my work. If people don't get the change, I do not charge them, because essentially that is
what you said you're going to do.
Yeah, that's what they're paying for. Yeah. I charge by the change. Now it's a little bit different for coaching, because of course coaching is, people coming week after week, and it's not necessarily about, because if it's phobia,
it's an ongoing thing.
I know that they don't have a phobia afterwards. If on the other hand, they just want to learn how to be high performance, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going to be helping them by teaching them things over the course of time and helping them with their individual situations. Well, clearly that's a little bit different. Yeah. But even there, I still will say, hey, look, if you ever think that this isn't benefiting you,